kids, before we get started, let's make some time to get active and energetic with someone who knows all about staying fit.
Hi, I'm Luke William and I compete in triathlon, and today I'm going to show you some exercises I use to stay fit and healthy. So the first leg of the triathlon is the swim. So we're going to bend over at the hips, reach as far forward as we can and start moving our arms like we're swimming in the water. And you can make it harder by swimming faster and faster. Next leg of a triathlon is the bike. So we're going to lay down, put our legs up in the air and spin like we're riding our bike. To make it harder, we can move up and get our hands under our hips and spin like this. The final leg is the run. So we're going to get our knees nice and high and hit our hands like this. That's it for today. See you next time.
I love reading books, and when I read, I have to work out what the words on the page say. But I also have to understand what is happening in the story. Let's join our teachers who are going to read a story with you and then have some fun retelling and answering some questions about that story.
Hi everyone, my name's Sarah. Today we're going to read an ebook. We know an ebook is a text that can be read on a device or a computer. This ebook is called First Day at School, and it's a Rosie and Wallace story. Before we get started, let's think about some of the things a good reader does when they see a new book. When I get ready to read a new book, I look at the cover and pictures and think about what the story will be about. When we read, we follow the words from left to right across the page, and from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. On this page, we start here and read. It was Rosie's first day at school. When I get to the end of the line, I go back to the beginning of the next line. Before you go, take this old umbrella, said Wallace. When we read, we have to read one word for each word on the page. Stop. Before you go, take this hat, said Wallace. Let's count the number of words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 words on the page, 9 words from my mouth. Now let's read the story and make sure we are putting into practice the things we just learned. You may like to join in as the story is read. The title of this book is called First Day at School, a Rosie and Wallace story.
First Day at School, a Rosie and Wallace story. It was Rosie's first day at school. Before you go, take this old umbrella, said Wallace. It may rain. Thanks, Wallace, said Rosie. Stop. Before you go, take this hat, said Wallace. It may be sunny. Thanks, Wallace, said Rosie. Can I go now? Stop. Before you go, take some cake, said Wallace. You may get a bit hungry. Thanks, Wallace, said Rosie. Can I go now? Yes, off you go, said Wallace. Take care. Thanks, Wallace, said Rosie. But where is my school?
Now, let's think about the characters and events in the book we have just read. On the table here, I have lots of images from the book. They're all mixed up. I'm going to use these images and put them into the right order to help me retell the story. Retelling will help me understand the key information, events and actions of the characters in the story. On this page, I can see a picture of 2 main characters, One character is holding an umbrella and the other is a rosella, a type of parrot underneath the umbrella. The words on the page say, "Before you go, take this old umbrella," said Wallace. "It may rain." "Thanks, Wallace," said Rosie. This tells me that the wallaby holding the umbrella is called Wallace and the rosella underneath it is called Rosie. Rosie and Wallace are the main characters in the book. I know this event happened at the beginning of the story. Wallace gave Rosie an umbrella in case it might rain. Rosie thanked Wallace. What came next in the story? I know. Then Wallace gave Rosie a hat in case it was sunny. Rosie thanked Wallace. Next, Wallace gave Rosie some cake in case Rosie got hungry. After that, Wallace told Rosie she could head off to school. Rosie thanked Wallace but realised she did not know where her school was. This was the last event because it happened right at the end of the story. Sometimes if I get stuck retelling the story, I go back to the book for help. It helps me check I have sequenced the events in the right order to ensure it makes sense. Wow, that was fun. Retelling has definitely helped me to understand the events that happened in the book. Another way we can understand the story is to identify literal information stated in the book. Literal information refers to the meaning that is directly stated in the book. I know I can find this information in the words and in the pictures. I can show you how I know by putting my finger on it in the book, just like this.
Hello?
Did you hear that? I think my friends have just arrived. Hi, Laura. Hi, Jess.
Sarah.
Laura and Jess, I know that you're here today to ask me some questions about the story, The First Day at School. I'm looking forward to finding the answers for you right there in the story.
Okay, Jess, are we ready? Sarah, your first question is, how many characters are in our story?
Okay, I know this one. I can see in the pictures two animals, a wallaby and a rosella. 1, 2. There are two characters in the story. If I look at the words, I can also see that the words on this page say Wallace and Rosie. 1, 2. There are two characters in this story.
Nice work. Jess said your next question, Sarah, is what object did Wallace give to Rosie?
Okay. Well, I can't see that on this page. Oh, here. I can see the words say, "Stop. Before you go, take this hat," said Wallace. "It may be sunny." I can see the word hat. The object that Wallace gave to Rosie was a hat.
Jess said, great work, Sarah. I can also see that there's a hat in the picture.
Oh, yes.
Now, the next question's a little bit more tricky. What's that, Jess? Jess says that there's another way to understand the text is to make an inference. This means that you find information in the text and you make links to what you already know to answer the question. So here we go. Did Rosie know where her school was?
That is tricky, Jess and Laura, because I can't see the answer to that written in the story. If I look at this last picture here, I can see Rosie has her hat down over her eyes. I don't think Rosie can see anything, and that's why she can't see her school. I think Rosie does know where her school is, but that this is a bit of a joke at the end of the story because Wallace has given her so many things to carry.
Jess said, "You are amazing, Sarah. You are really wonderful at answering questions from the story. You know so much about characters and events."
Oh, thanks, Jess. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Sarah.
Today we learnt about different ways we can understand a story. Now it is your turn. Choose a book you may like to read or have someone read it to you. Have a go at retelling some of the events in the story. You may like to make or use puppets, some props and dress-ups to act out what happened with someone else in your house. Have fun, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.
Welcome back, guys. It's great to have you here for Learning at Home TV, and you've come just in time. We're going to have some fun with counting. Now, when I count, I can work out how many numbers there are. I also know that numbers are used to show us what has already been counted. And when we count, we say the numbers in a particular order.
That's right, Olivia. We always count in a particular order. Hi, everyone. My name is Monique, and together we are going to learn about skip counting in 2s and 5s. Do you know what skip counting is? I know that skip counting is counting by a number other than 1. I can skip count forwards and backwards. When I choose to skip count, I want to count fast. I know it's a quicker way of counting than counting in ones. It is useful when we need to count large collections. Before we get started, let's look at these blocks on the table. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. Oh my, that took quite a long time to count. I counted by ones and had to count every single block. I think skip counting would be a quicker and more efficient way to count this big collection of blocks. I'm going to show you how to skip count in 2s using my 100 board. When I skip count in 2s, I have to jump 2 numbers each time. I skip some of the numbers. That is why it is called skip counting. For example, if I start at 2, the next number is 4. I have jumped 2 numbers on the 100 board. You can see I skipped the number 3. Have a go skip counting with me. Count the numbers you see highlighted to 20. Let's go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. We skip counted in 2s by counting every second number. Counting in 2s is a really efficient strategy when we are counting a larger collection. It definitely doesn't take as long as counting in 1s. I'm going to count these blocks again. To make it easier for me to skip count, I'm going to put these blocks in groups of 2. Let's count together again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12. That certainly is faster than counting in 1s. When we skip counted the blocks, we counted every second block. So we counted in a 2s counting pattern. I just remembered, I have this big basket of socks I just washed. There are so many socks in here. I wonder how many socks I have altogether. Can you help me work it out? Before we get started, I'm going to put these socks into groups of 2. All right, that's done. I think we're ready to count. Let's start. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. 20. That was the last number we counted. That means we have 20 socks altogether. Now that we've got the hang of skip counting in 2s, I think we're ready to skip count in 5s. When we skip count in 5s, we have to jump 5 numbers each time. Remember, that is why it's called skip counting after all. For example, if I start at 5, the next number is 10. I have jumped 5 numbers on the hundreds board. I skipped the numbers 6, 7, 8 and 9. Have a go skip counting in 5s with me. Count the numbers you see highlighted to 100. Let's go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Did you know that skip counting in 5s is even quicker than skip counting in 2s? That is because it is a bigger number than 2. That makes it faster because we are skipping more numbers each time. When we count it in 5s, we skip to every 5th number. Oh look, here is my friend Graham. Hi Graham, what have you got there? Wow, lots of shiny and colourful objects. I have a fun idea. Let's count them to see how many shiny objects there are altogether. But before I do, I'm going to use these egg cartons to place the shiny objects into groups of 5. That will make it so much easier to skip count in 5s. Okay, let's get organised. Right, we have our shiny objects sorted into groups of 5. We are ready to skip count in 5s. Let's start. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. There are 35 shiny objects altogether. Graham, I see you have some numeral cards in front of you. I have another idea. I could use these numeral cards to help label each group. That helps me to remember that numerals are used to show us what has been counted. Let's see if each card matches the numbers as we count. Don't forget, we are still skip counting in 5s. Let's go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. It worked. Each number matched the group of shiny objects. There are 35 shiny objects altogether. Today we learned about skip counting in 2s and 5s. We know that when we skip count, we want to count fast. We know it's a quicker way of counting than counting in 1s. It is useful when we need to count large collections. Now it is your turn. Look for large collections of objects around your home, like the washing, pegs, pasta, or your toys such as building blocks. Practice skip counting the objects in 2s and 5s. Remember, you might like to group them before you start skip counting. Have fun, everyone. Bye for now.
I hope you've learned something new in your mathematics lesson this morning. Now we are going to take a little look at how to stay safe and healthy as we learn a bit more about the coronavirus.
My name is Coronavirus, but you can call me COVID-19. I'm travelling the world right now. You might have heard of me. Breaking news, COVID-19 going viral. I'm a virus. Some of my friends have the common cold and flu. If you catch me, I can make you feel like this.
Fever, hard to breathe.
But I don't last long, and most kids get better quickly. I'll be off now. You can help stop me spreading. Learn how. Tip 1. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. Tip 2. Don't get too close to other people, including your friends. Tip 3. Cover your coughs and sneezes with a tissue or your elbow. Achoo! Tip 4. If you feel sick, tell your parents straight away. If you're worried about me, that's okay. Talk to your parents, carer or family. Doctors are working hard to stop me. Make sure to follow instructions and we'll get through this together.
In Science Today, you will learn about materials and their properties. Did you know that everything around us is made of a material? Can you name some different materials in your home? Objects may be made of materials like wood, or even fabric, glass, plastic, metal, or even clay. Take a look around. Why don't you find 3 objects and see if you can tell what material they're made of? And let's explore that further with Monty.
Thanks, Olivia. Take some time to think about a few of the objects that you have used since you woke up this morning. For instance, you got out of your bed, got dressed in clothes, used a bowl or plate at breakfast time, and used a toothbrush to clean your teeth. Let's think about the materials used to make some of those objects. A bed might be made from wood. Wood is a good material for making beds because it is solid, strong, and heavy. Plastic is a good material for making toothbrushes because it is lightweight, rigid, and smooth. Scientists examine materials to learn about them. When you examine materials, you are thinking and working like a scientist. Let's examine the materials of these 3 balls. Beach ball, basketball, and a soccer ball. Our beach ball is made of a plastic material. The basketball is made of rubber, and the football is made from leather. And the words we use to describe materials are known as properties of materials. Let's take a closer look at the properties of these materials. Plastic is a good material for a beach ball because it is soft, smooth, lightweight, and it doesn't hurt if it lands on us. Beach balls are also waterproof, which is an important property for water toys. Rubber is a good material for a basketball because its properties are bouncy and durable. This rubber is also bumpy to help us grip the ball when we throw and catch. Leather. It's a good material for a football because leather is flexible, durable, and does not tear easily. Unfortunately, some leather soccer balls absorb water, and this can make them heavy and difficult to play with in the rain. We choose the best material for an object because of its properties. Let's look at another example, something a lot bigger. You may recognise this object and may have travelled over one of these in your day-to-day lives. It is a bridge. A bridge is a structure that helps us travel safely across an obstacle, such as a river or valley. It might also allow animals a safe path to move from one location to another. A bridge should be strong, has to be able to hold the weight of many people, cars, trucks, trains. And a bridge should be rigid. We don't want it to bend when it is carrying a lot of weight. A bridge should be durable. We want bridges to last a long time. Let's compare the properties of some other materials to help us choose one to make a model bridge. The plastic in these blocks is rigid, holds its shape well. The rubber in this band is elastic and can be stretched quite easily. The block is strong, will hold the force of objects as they cross it. The rubber band is weak, likely to collapse if we put a heavy object on it. Plastic is durable. We can use it over and over again. But the rubber bands, they'll probably wear out over time. Which material has the better properties to build a model bridge? I think it's the plastic blocks, because they have the properties needed for a bridge: rigid, strong, and durable. In real life, many bridges are constructed using a material called steel. Steel is also rigid and strong and durable. Can you imagine a bridge made entirely out of rubber bands? Rubber band is weak and elastic, but that's perfect for holding a bunch of pencils together. I wonder what we could use these materials for. Let's examine their properties to decide. This plastic bag is transparent, waterproof, lightweight. It'd be a useful material for a lunch bag or a plant holder, but it's not very fun as a toy. Two different types of rocks. This piece of ochre is useful because it's soft and easily draws on paper or on skin. This granite is very heavy. It's very hard and not very good at drawing on paper. Well, let's recap what we've learned today. We now know that when you examine materials, you are thinking and working like a scientist. The words we use to describe materials are known as properties. And we should choose the best material for an object because of its properties. This afternoon, why don't you practice thinking like a scientist and describe the properties of 5 materials around your home? You could use words like flexible, rigid, lightweight, smooth, or waterproof. I wonder if you can think of a new purpose for something like this old sock. See you next time.
All right, kids, it's now time for a brain break. Stand up and get ready to move your bodies with our guest athlete. That's it from me today. Luke is here next, but I'll see you all next time.
Hi everyone, my name's Taylor Worth. I'm an Australian Olympic archer and I'm here today to give you some archery exercises that I do to warm up. So we're going to start with some shoulder rolls. So we go backwards for 5 and then we can go forwards for 5 as well. And we can do that twice. Good job everyone. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to start with a plank. So we're going to put our shoulders over our hands and we've got a nice straight line between our shoulders, our hips and our feet. So what we can start with, if that's too easy, take a hand off and then take the other hand off. And if that's too easy, you can open up to the side into a nice star position. Now for all of you that are really strong out there, add a push-up. Come all the way up, all the way down, and open out to the side. Oh, great job, everyone. You're doing so well. Oh. I'm tired. How about you guys? Now, you're all doing really well. Great job keeping active, and I'll see you in the next one.